meeting is being televised on the Henry County TV Channel 14 and will be rebroadcast each Thursday at 7:30 p.m. A video of the meeting is also available on demand on the county website. If you wish to speak, you need to fill out the public hearing speaker card. We will allot 10 minutes for those in favor of a case and 10 minutes for those in opposition of a case. For example, if there are 10 people who wish to speak, they all share the 10-minute slot and so forth. Okay, now we're going to stand for the invocation with Mrs. Schmaltz.
Dear God, we come before you tonight humble, thanking you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us, asking that you give us, my colleagues here, the guidance, the knowledge to make the right decisions tonight for Henry County and the citizens of Henry County. Dear God, once again, we thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. God bless all of us here tonight and the United States of America. For all of those who do believe, please say amen.
Amen. Now Mr. Butcher will say the pledge.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. This meeting is now called to order. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented to us tonight.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? None opposed. Okay. Do we have any staff comments for this evening?
There are no comments from staff.
I can't hear you.
No comments from staff.
Okay, we're now going to move on to the agenda items.
The first item is Comprehensive Plan Amendment, COMP-AM 1203. James H. Nutt of Marietta, Georgia, requests an amendment to the comprehensive plan for property located on the north side of Hampton Locust Grove Road and west of Highway 155 South within the Luella Elementary, Middle, and High School Activity Center in Land Lot 210 of the 2nd District. The request is to amend the future land use designation from low-density residential to industrial. The property is located in District 2, and Jeremy Gilbert is representing planning staff.
Good evening, Chairman and board members. The request that is before you tonight is a comprehensive plan amendment for property that's located on Hampton Locust Grove Road. The property is approximately 41.8 plus or minus acres and is located on the north side of Hampton Locust Grove Road, west of Highway 155. Property is located in the Luella Elementary, Middle, and High School Activity Center. In evaluating the applicant's request, staff determined instead of just reviewing their 41 acres, that staff would review the entire activity center because we felt it warranted evaluation. In reviewing the current activity center topology for the current development trends, staff is of the opinion that this activity center should be removed in its entirety. The reasoning behind removing the activity center is based on the initial review of the comprehensive plan. The consultant didn't look at what was zoned. They only looked at what was currently developed. And at that time, there was hardly any commercial or non-residential uses developed in this activity center. Since that time, there has been a number of developments that have began construction or have completed construction. And in doing so, it has made the numbers for what the proposed typology for this activity center to be upside down. An example is currently there's 421 plus or minus acres of this 1,344 acre activity center that is zoned non-residential. The proposed typology for the school node says there should only be 202 plus or minus acres. Therefore, we would have to reduce that by over half. Based on the zoning designations of the non-residentially zoned properties within this activity center, we'd be reducing that by 201 acres. The applicant's request, they were requesting to amend the future land use map for their portion, the 41.8 acres, to industrial. In looking at that, talking with our Department of Transportation, according to DOT, the paving rating for Hampton Locust Grove Road is only 20 feet wide, and it scores a 67 out of 100. Hampton Locust Grove Road is also not classified as a truck route and would need significant improvements to be classified as a truck route in the future. Henry County DOT recommends that if this property were to be developed in the future as industrial, that the site would need to gain access from Highway 155. With all of those concerns and through the policies that are in the comprehensive plan, staff felt like this property would be more suited to be a commercial designation, and therefore staff is recommending denial of the applicant's request to amend the future land use map from residential to industrial, but recommends the following: removing the Luella Elementary, Middle, and High School node activity center designation from the future land use map, deleting all references within the Henry County City's Joint Comprehensive Plans community agenda that is regarding the Luella Middle, High School, and node activity center, and amend the future land use designation for the subject property to commercial. And I'll answer any questions that the board may have.
Okay, does the board have any questions for the staff at this time? All right, hearing none, I would like to ask the applicant to come forward and please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. I'm Jim Nutt from Marietta, Georgia, and I represent my brother who's here and my sister who's in North Carolina. The three of us own the property, 1/3 undivided interest.
Okay, do you have anything that you'd like to add to the staff comments?
Not particularly. I think we understand the concern of the DOT. The road needs improving anyway, but we understand the rationale. And we have no immediate plans, or we're not developers, but property's been in the estate for a number of years, and we just moved it out of the estate, and we think it's, we'd like to market the property, but we don't have any immediate use for it.
Okay, does any of the board members have any questions for the applicant?
Do you have any development plans or developers in mind of presenting this to that may possibly have an interest in it industrially?
I wish we did, Mr. Butcher. If you've got somebody, let me know.
I'm afraid not.
We've had some very general conversations. We've got a for sale by owner sign on the property. Been there for quite a while. I think I've had 3 phone calls, and one of those was the surveyor for the engineering firm that's doing the work for the Prologis track. So not a lot of activity there right now.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, you may be seated.
Thank you.
Okay, this time we're allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of this case. So if you want to speak in favor of this case, if you'll please come to the front. In favor of the case? I don't see anyone coming up front. Okay. At this time, we're allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in opposition to this case. Does anybody want to speak in opposition to this case? Okay, I don't see anybody, so I'm going to ask the applicant to please come back up. Oh.
Yeah, and as the applicant's making their way back up, Chairman, I wanted to just make the statement that for the viewing audience and for the audience that's here tonight, that this is just a comprehensive plan amendment. It would not be changing the zoning on the property, just the designation for future development on the future land use map. I just wanted to
Okay.
make that statement.
Okay. Does any of the board members have any further questions for the applicant? Okay, we're going to ask you to be seated since no one has anything else. You got your exercise tonight, though, didn't you? Okay, we're going to call the case. Somebody need to call that again.
Plan Amendment 1203. James H. Nutt of Marietta, Georgia, requests an amendment to the comprehensive plan for property located on the north side of Hampton Locust Grove Road and west of Highway 155 South within the Luella Elementary, Middle, and High School Activity Center in Land Lot 210 of the 2nd District. The request is to amend the future land use designation from low-density residential to industrial. Again, the property is located in District 2.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
You want to state that motion?
Duke? I would like to make a motion to deny the amendment of the flume designation. Would also like to, well, I have to make a separate motion for that. Go ahead.
No, it can be in one.
And for approval of the comprehensive plan amendment as the staff has recommended.
Do I hear a second to that motion?
With the three amendments.
Okay. Do I have a second for that motion? Okay, Mr. Donnelly. Okay, we're going to call the vote. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? That's unanimous. None opposed. All right, next case.
The next case is Unified Land Development Code Amendment 1209, an ordinance by Henry County, Georgia to amend Chapter 4, Site Design Standards for Base Zoning Districts, Section 4.01.02, Dimensional Standards for Building Height and Location Setbacks, in accordance with Sections 1202.11 and 1203.00 of the Henry County Unified Land Development Code. This amendment will be a countywide amendment and will be presented by Wanda Moore.
Good evening, Board. Currently, the Unified Land Development Code regulates dimensional standards for building height and location. Section 4.01.02, Dimensional Standards for Building Height and Location. Section 4.01.02E of the ULDC states the following. Property with a side lot line adjacent to a railroad right-of-way shall not be required to provide a side yard setback. Upon review of the specific criteria for that, staff evaluated the Department of Community Affairs ordinance regarding zero lot lines as well as Coweta County, and recommends amending the provision to provide accessibility area around all sides of built structures in order to eliminate possible trespass on railroad right-of-way. Staff recommends that Section 4.01.02E be amended to read as follows. Property with a side lot line adjacent to a railroad right-of-way shall provide a 10-foot side yard setback. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Are there any comments from the board for the staff? Okay, do I have any comments from the public in favor of the text amendment? Anybody want to step up in favor of the text amendment? Okay, do I have anyone who would like to comment from the public in opposition of the text amendment? I saw someone moving around, but I don't think they're coming up to testify. Okay, we're going to call the case. Wait, I think she has to move it.
An ordinance by Henry County, Georgia to amend Chapter 4, Site Design Standards for Base Zoning Districts, Section 4.01.02, Dimensional Standards for Building Heights and Locations Setbacks, in accordance with Section 12.02.11 and 12.03.00 of the Henry County Unified Land Development Code.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion, recommend that staff, a motion for approval for Section 4.0102E be amended to read as follows. Property with a side lot line adjacent to a railroad right-of-way shall provide a 10-foot side yard setback.
We'll have a second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Butcher. Any discussion? All those in favor? None opposed. It's unanimous. Okay, we'll go to the next case.
CU 12-10, Carpenter House Ministries Incorporated of McDonough, Georgia, request a conditional use for property located at 395 through 397 McDonough Parkway in land lot 157 of the 7th District. The request is for a church/religious facility. Request is in District 1 and is presented by Sherry Hobson Matthews.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. As Jeremy has indicated, we have a request this evening for a conditional use for a religious facility. The property, again, is located on McDonough Parkway, which is designated as a major arterial roadway consisting of 1.0 plus or minus acres. The applicants are seeking to utilize an existing industrial building for religious purposes and religious activities. Staff did do an analysis of the property and has confirmed that the existing building consists of about 6,000 square feet. There are 42 existing parking spaces on the property with 2 designated handicap parking spaces. In the staff report, I did comment that at this time we could not determine the parking until the actual development plans had been submitted so that we can determine if there will be fixed seating, fixed seats within the religious facility or bench seating or non-fixed seats. So that is something that will be determined at the development stage. Planning staff has reviewed the request and has recommended approval with 3 conditions.
All right, are there any questions from the board members for the staff? Okay, hearing none. Would like to ask the applicant to come forward, please. State your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Deidre K. Suggs. Address is P.O. Box 3208, McDonough, Georgia, 30253.
Do you have anything you would like to add to the staff comments?
Just that we are excited about getting into our church facility.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Okay, you may be seated.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we're allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of this case. We're allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor.
Hello.
Can you state your name and
I'm
address?
Ashley Suggs in McDonough, Georgia. It's 1165 Folkestone Drive. I just want to say that this building would be a great part to our family because that's both my parents right there. They've been in ministry for all my life. I'm 21, so all my life. That's all we know, and it would be just a great pleasure to have our own spot to praise the Lord with, with freedom. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to come up? Okay. All righty. Okay, so at this time, we're going to allow 10 minutes for those who want to speak in opposition to this case. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Okay, I would like the applicant to please come back up. You are also going to get your exercise tonight. Does the board have any further questions for the applicant?
I do, Mr. Chair. Where are you currently?
We have been currently holding service in the New Covenant Church since our launch on 2009 October. And so we have our services on Sunday from 1 to, 1:30, for the past 3 years.
And the congregation of what size?
Our congregation is a growing congregation. We started with basically about 10 adults, 5 families, and we have grown to about 21 family units. So we're growing, and we've been in ministry since 1996 as an outreach, but we are launched as a church since 2009.
And so outside of your Sunday activities, what other times of the week are you planning to use the facility? Or
Well, since 2003, we partnered with a lot of, with the schools and education, so we do a lot of after-school events with the schools. We do the career days and things of that nature. This facility would give us the ability to host those things in our own facility. We partnered with the Atlanta Bible College just a few months ago for 12 weeks to do a family nurturing program that hosted about 16 adults and their children, and those kind of activities are what we're doing. This region has not had a nurturing program. Those kind of things are what we're going to be doing during the week. We will have scheduled activities. So.
Okay, thank you. I have no more questions.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, you may be seated.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if someone can call the case.
CU 12-10, Carpenter House Ministries Incorporated of McDonough, Georgia, requests a conditional use for property located at 395 through 397 McDonough Parkway and land lot 157 of the 7th District. The request is for a church/religious facility in District 1.
I need to get a motion.
Make a motion to approve as planning has recommendations.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, okay, let's see here.
Sorry about that, I've gone to sleep.
Trying to keep you awake. It's all unanimous and none denied. Okay.
Thank you.
RZ 12.
Oh, just a second, please. I'm sorry. At this time, I'm turning this portion over to our Vice Chair, Ms. Brown, who will be handling the next 3 cases.
RZ 1205, Donna Bryson of Lilburn, Georgia, requests a rezoning from RMH, mobile home or manufactured home development, to C3, highway commercial, for property located at the southwest corner of Boulevard Drive and Wilson Road, Tract 2, Lot 3 of Pine Valley Estates subdivision, in land lot 33 of the 12th District. The property consists of 1.062 plus or minus acres, and the request is for the outside storage of trucks, trailers, and equipment. The request is in District 4 and is presented by Wanda Moore.
Good evening, Board. As Jeremy stated, the request is located, the property is located, on the southwest corner of Boulevard Drive and Wilson Road. The site is currently vacant. It's undeveloped. It's relatively flat with a sparse vegetation. There are existing stand of trees along the southern property line here. There's a 30-foot access easement also along that property line. I have a quick. It's located along the southern property line. There's a specimen tree, as defined by Henry County, is 8-inch diameter at breast height. The land use is currently designated for mobile homes, and the flume designates the area for commercial use. I apologize, let me get it. It's the future land use map designation for commercial. The proposal came in to us for a desire to have outdoor storage, which is under our ordinance of the ULDC would be required for C3 designation for outdoor storage in a commercial. The site plan provided by Terry Boomer indicates that access into the property itself would be from Boulevard Drive. There would be perimeter fencing that would be a requirement from Henry County for outdoor storage around the property. The access easement has remained. It's a 30-foot easement, again, that's along the southern property. Staff recommends approval of C3 commercial with 7 recommendations.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board for staff?
Yes. Could you please read the 7 recommendations?
Will I please read them? Absolutely. Item 1, staff recommends approval with the following 7 conditions. 1, a 10-foot landscape area shall be located along the east property boundary adjacent Wilson Road right-of-way in front of the proposed fencing pursuant to Chapter 5.01.01C. The 10-foot landscape area can be included as part of the 12% landscape requirement. The 10-foot landscape area shall have 1 canopy tree per 25 linear feet of frontage along Wilson Road with grass or ground cover. Item 2, development shall preserve the existing specimen oak located approximately midpoint alongside the west property boundary. Barrier fencing shall be placed at the drip line of the canopy to protect the root zone. ULDC Chapter 5.03.05F and 5.03.06. Item number 3, an evergreen buffer shall be planted the entire length of along the north edge of the existing 30-foot drive easement, extending into the site to create a 20-foot wide buffer. Item number 4, the fence that is required to enclose outdoor storage shall not be located within the existing 30-foot drive easement. Any landscape or buffer area. The owner shall submit drawings and or pictures, material sample, and color swatch of proposed fence type to Henry County Architectural Review Committee for approval. ULDC Chapter 10.03.00. Sidewalks, item number 5. Sidewalks along Wilson Road and Boulevard Drive shall be required, consistent with ULDC Section 8.01.09 requirements for new commercial development. Item number 6, site drive access shall be located exclusively from Boulevard Drive as indicated on the rezoning plan dated June 26, 2012, submitted by Civil Consulting Engineering, Inc., Terry S. Boomer, P.E. And item number 7, notwithstanding anything to the contrary herein, no zoning condition imposed herein shall be interpreted or applied in such a manner so as to require any violation of any existing building, development, stormwater, and or other applicable codes.
Okay, and we're requesting a C3 because this is a storage facility.
Outdoor. That's
storage.
right.
So there will be no building that will be permitted to be built there at any time or in the future, or?
The applicant site plan shows storage only. As C3 designation, anything that's permissible in C3 would be allowed to be constructed on a C3 zoned property, unless it's otherwise stated as far as the recommendation goes.
Okay.
Does she want to state what C3,
Yeah, right. What, can you give me some examples of what could go in a C3?
As a prior application was presented, a heavy automobile service facility where you have mechanics and outdoor storage of cars and equipment and such that they would be working on. C3, I don't have my code in front of me, excuse me.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, but that's-
I
that's
apologize.
okay.
But we just kind of need to know what else could go there for the future.
Yes.
Obviously, if we approve this, there's, other things that could go in there.
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't have any more questions
Okay.
for staff. Thank you.
Anybody have any other questions? Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask the applicant to come forward, please. Please state your name and address for the record.
Chairman, Board, my name is Terry Boomer. I live at 122 Cedar Woods Trail, Canton, Georgia. I am the owner of Civil Consulting Engineers and agent for Ms. Donna Bryson.
Thank you. And would you like to add anything in addition to the staff report?
I would like to clarify, when Donna looked at the properties that she was interested in purchasing in Henry County, it was conveyed to her that under RMH, if she built a structure or parked a trailer, she could also park a trailer next to the trailer and or structure. And I want to clarify that with staff.
The ULDC code for the designation of the existing zoning permits if you have a structure that you could actually store a trailer, other type of recreational equipment that's large, but you have to enclose it in a fence. But
Trailer?
yes, it's not specific as far as the type, and it affords various interpretations.
And if I may add some clarification to that, the code allows for a recreational vehicle to be stored within the RMH, but if it's a commercial vehicle, that would only be allowable within the RA zoning district, and that can be inside of a subdivision or outside of a subdivision.
Could there be storage, if there was a building storage?
The applicant could have an accessory structure, which could be like a storage building from Lowe's or Home Depot, but not the type of outdoor storage that's being proposed here tonight, not under the current RMH designation.
Thank you for that clarification. And the only other thing I'd like to add is I have read the staff analysis as well as the conditions, and the owner, Ms. Donna Bryson, and I are in agreement with the conditions in the staff analysis.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone from the board have questions for the applicant?
I do.
Okay.
When did she purchase this property? How long has she had it?
Roughly a year ago. I think it was late October.
And she purchased it for the storage, or that was just something?
Correct.
Okay.
With that specific intent. They own a construction business, and they don't want to, and they work on Henry County roads, and they don't want to haul their equipment back to Lilburn and Gwinnett County.
So what type of equipment will be stored there?
Trailers from a tractor trailer and or a lowboy.
Oh, okay. But not like a backhoe or a dozer or anything like that?
There may be, but not as an operation.
Okay. Am I allowed to ask something for the staff on this? And I guess this would be like a transportation question. Would there be enough room for a radius to pull in a trailer? I guess that lot didn't seem like it was that big.
By the time you do the setbacks and the
what would they have to do to get a? You're talking about
well,
low
look at the
boys.
site. There's site. The site.
This seems like it's an awful. I don't know.
I think his site plan, I believe, shows 35-foot radii, and I forget how wide the driveway is shown.
35-foot driveway.
I think he shows driveway at 30 feet. Likely he can get in and out, particularly with a 30-foot wide drive, and when he gets down to 42, they should be able to get in and out there also, I would think. I think the road is roughly 20 feet wide, so once he gets straightened up, you can get by him, but it's not like driving by a smaller vehicle, that's for sure.
So it's just to park the trailers and it's not to unload equipment?
There may be some offloading of equipment, yes. I'm not going to say there's not.
And does that equipment make any noise as far as like a safety beep when it backs up and
Yes,
things like
ma'am.
that?
All equipment, heavy equipment is required by OSHA to have that.
Well, I kind of knew the answer to that. I just wanted it on record. Sorry. And for those who may not know that, I just wanted that to be known. And what would be the hours? Are there any hours, restriction hours that would be placed on this C3 as far as, I know it's not in your 7, as far as like when they can unload and, any time at night they're allowed to load and unload equipment?
The code makes no specific requirements on that. You certainly can add that as a zoning condition, and it'll be up to code enforcement to actually enforce it. But a lot of times we tread lightly on adding conditions of that nature because sometimes, depending on where the location is, for example, if you tell them that all the loading has to take place between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., we all know Henry County traffic, so there may be a situation where at 5:05 they haven't made it to that location, and they could certainly be in violation of that condition. But you certainly can, as a board, make that as a recommendation.
But in the past, we've only done that for businesses.
We've done it for businesses.
This is not good. They're not going to have to get a business license
correct.
for this.
And typically it's for deliveries and for the actual trash pickup. And I can tell you the ordinance does regulate the hours of operation for sanitation service.
Madam Co-Chair, I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Balmer, good evening.
Good evening.
Do you have any idea how much equipment will be stored there?
No, I don't. The lot, as stated by the board members, is very small. We're going to have enough to get a couple tractor trailers in there, and that's going to be about the limit of that lot size. But I haven't placed any equipment on there with a template as of yet.
So tractor trailers would mean maybe like where tools and stuff are stored? Because I know sometimes a construction site, they have like tool storage in I don't know what it's called. It's an enclosed, it's not really a shed, but you know what I'm talking about. You can move it back and forth.
Right.
You think those would be on there? Yeah, tool trailer. You think that'd be
That's a
possible?
probability,
Yeah,
sure,
okay.
sure.
Since the applicant's not here, it's kind of hard for us to know what they're going to do. Okay. That's all I have. I'm sorry.
Is there any other questions from the board? No questions from the board, then I'm going to ask the applicant to be seated at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will be allowing 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of the case. And again, the 10 minutes will be a total of 10 minutes for those speaking in favor. Those speaking in favor, if you come forward. Okay. Note that there's no one coming forward in favor of this. At this time, we will allow 10 minutes for those that are speaking in opposition of this case. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Sheila Jones, live at 65 Boulevard Drive, Stockbridge, Georgia, 2 doors up from where they want to rezone this.
Okay.
I have a petition here with signatures of neighbors opposing it. I have a couple of emails here from people that want to speak of opposing it that was not able to attend. I also have pictures I want to present to the board of all of our homes that are within like 2 doors down, 3 doors down from all this property. if y'all would like to look at them, because these are majority of homes, and these people have lived here 20 to 40 plus years. And some are retired, and the rest of us plan to retire. And we would like to retire in a nice community. I know in the past, since she has purchased this property, she has dumped asphalt on that property and has had to have it removed. The equipment is so noisy, and I just don't think the buffer that they have presented is going to preserve our subdivision for our neighborhood. Because you're talking about, it's right there, and like you said, the big trucks that all coming in, that road is not big enough for that. And the intersection getting out on 42 is dangerous enough without adding traffic to that with commercial equipment. And there's like 4 others want to speak, so I don't want to keep up the time.
Thank you.
Can we see
Do I
those
leave these
pictures?
here?
Yeah. The staff will give them to us. Thank you.
Could y'all bring those pictures up?
Good evening. If you'll please state your name and address.
I live at 5 Highland Circle, Stockfish, Georgia. My name is Maddie Coulter, and 30281, and I have property adjoining to this property, right up against it at 125 Wilson is my property, and the next lot over from that is mine, and I live diagonally across the street, and I've been there ever since 1984, and my big concern is the noise. We're all retired in that neighborhood and everything, and it's the noise and the pollution from the diesel. They can't load those tractors unless they crank them, and they don't go to work at 8 o'clock. Yeah, that's for sure, and this is just not what we need in our neighborhood. Anything with a C3 is too much for our community, and I appreciate it. I let someone else have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Irene Cruz, and I live at the corner of Boulevard and Wilson Road. And my husband and I built that house. I've been living in it now for 52 years. We had 2 children, and there are memories in that house. We dug our own basement, we did all of the work, and we put down a hardwood floor, which my 2 little boys really enjoyed helping their father to put that down. And in 1963, our 2 sons died, and now I have that panel floor is still in my home. It will never be removed. I have a hydrangea bush that my brother brought for us to put as a memorial to my sons that still lives in that yard. That bush is there. It has blossoms every single spring, even at that age. I have several cedar trees that my mother brought for me when they were just seedlings, and they are now quite tall. All my memories are in that house. I'd never replaced that floor that they helped to build. I see it every time, and when I'm washing the floors, I still think about it all those years later. I couldn't move these memories to another home. And after 15 years, that's the only home I know. And I put in the past 10 years over $100,000 into my home to keep it up so that I could spend the rest of my life in that house. It'll be a really waste of my time, my money, and everything to have something like that brought in. It's too heavy for the pavement outside on Boulevard Drive to have that heavy equipment there. The rezoning is actually going to be very difficult for me to. I couldn't live here with that, and I can't move because my memories are all in that house. And if you all pass that rezoning thing, actually, you would be actually destroying the quality of the rest of my life. And my property would be downhill because no one would ever want to buy a house across the road from that. That noise, that everything else, and it would depreciate my home, and it would really ruin everything. And so I'm saying, please don't do this. I don't know what else to say, but that house has every memory I've got that means anything to me. And I don't know what else I can tell you.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, we have 4 minutes and 49 seconds remaining for those in opposition. Thanks.
My name's Clarence Fulcher. I live at 15 Highland Circle, which is almost diagonally across. I throw a rock to it.
Can you stop just a second, please? Staff, can you please put up the color? Yes, so we can see where the homeowners live in relation to this property.
I live right here.
Well, she's got another. Thank you.
Okay. This is mine right here with the pool.
Okay.
I built a 2,700 square foot house. I built it myself, and I've got everything I want out, garage and everything. We've seen them bring in the equipment. They have to park on the road to unload. We've got all the dust when they brought the asphalt in, unloading it and everything. And, you know, I don't want to have to, I want to retire as soon as I do. I don't want to have to put up with that. You know, the noise, like I say, they'd be there at 7 o'clock in the morning sometimes unloading equipment. But, like I say, I want to retire there. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? We still have 3 minutes and 53 seconds.
My name is Neil Sani. I live at 85 Wilson Road. I don't believe that I would be as heavily impacted by this as the people who've already spoken in opposition. Of course, you know, the main concerns for me, obviously, is would it lower my quality of life and would it lower my property value? I think that everyone that has spoken so far has made some excellent points. I also think that should something like this pass, Ms. Moore has obviously done a lot of research and her recommendations are good. I think that they all need to be made mandates for something like this. I don't know, maybe recommendation becomes a mandate when it passes. Also, a lot of people expressed concern about the road there. The road is dilapidated right there where 42. There's not even a road sign. I didn't even know what the road was called until today, and I've lived there for 6 years. But I, being a resident on Wilson Road, if something like this were to happen, my biggest concern would be trucks driving up and down the road. That road is quiet. I mean, a car passes maybe once every 1 or 2 or 3 hours. So should something, I'm against it, but should something like this pass, another item I would like to add to her list of recommendations and make a mandate is that there should be highly visible no-through truck signs on Wilson Road, and speed bumps should be implemented to enforce that trucks cannot pass through there. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Greg Holder. I live at 70 Highland Circle. Y'all talking about how much room is up on that road. If you look right there on the end right there, that road ain't been paved in probably 20, 30 years. It's so rough. There's not really a whole lot of room for anybody to get in and get out of there to start with. It's just, you know, then you got the other trash that's across the street up there. And I can understand the neighbors, what they're looking at every day when they pull in this neighborhood and they see stuff like that. I just got a house there and a house here and a house across the street, and you want to zone that commercial. Just like if I come in your neighborhood and took a house and mowed it down and put C3 on it, I just don't believe that's the right decision to make on that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we have 1 minute and 35 seconds. We still have time for if anybody else wants to speak.
Could I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear a buffer being added to this on the south side of that lot, which is where my house is at, is on the south side of that lot.
Staff, can you put the picture back up? Yep. Site plan. So what is your property address again?
125 Wilson Road.
She's right next to the...
So she's... 125. Yeah, Eddie Burnson. That's myself.
That existing,
We use this house as a rental property to supplement our income, and it would be a great inconvenience if I couldn't rent it.
I apologize, I'm trying to find my site photos. There you go. This right
Okay.
here is the
That's the house.
her house.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an existing stand of trees. They're mostly evergreen. From here to out 30 feet, there's the access easement that you can't plant anything in. So this would remain undisturbed out 30 feet, and then from 30 feet here, additional 20 feet would be another planted buffer of evergreen material to screen her house. So, and then the fence would be on that other side. So between her property line and the fence, there would be 50 feet.
Thank you.
But
Does
there
that
would
make
be a
sense?
fence. There would be a fence.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear that part.
And the photo doesn't show as well. The applicant, or not applicant, but the homeowner has a chain link fence existing between her property and that property.
Thank you. Okay, we still have a little bit of time. Anybody else wants to come up in opposition? Okay, we don't have, for the record, it doesn't look like we have anyone else in opposition of this case. At this time, I would like to ask the applicant to come forward, please.
Madam Vice Chair, while the applicant is coming forward, can we get staff to show us the emails and also the petition that they received?
And I would like to ask DOT about the road condition. I know that when you're hauling equipment, you have to have permits because of bridges and different roads that you can have equipment on. So is this an approved route for DOT, or is it because it's county that it doesn't apply?
This is it's not a truck route. Basically, the only truck routes in Henry County are the state roads, basically, other than Rock Quarry and Eagles Landing, I think, and maybe Jodico. Boulevard scores as a 67 out of 100 between 42 and Wilson. And as part of the staff report, I'd mentioned if this were to pass, we need to coordinate with the applicant about some possible improvements to the road for the impending additional loads coming into the site. And I would even say, as we go forward, it may be something we want to visit on between now and the Board of Commissioners as to maybe get a better handle on that. It's hard to say without knowing exactly how many loads per day on average and that sort of thing.
So they would have no restrictions. I guess my question was, would there be a restriction to drive on Boulevard with heavy equipment? That would they need a permit or not?
I'm not aware of one, but I'm not well versed in
Okay, but the road
what routes can be used. I know the truck routes, but
Right.
like I say, we can count on both hands the truck routes in Henry County. So
So you're saying that the road will probably need to be upgraded at some point in time?
Typically, we'd want the roads to rate at 70 or above. The roads we've been repairing or resurfacing in the last 2 and 3 years probably have been scoring in the low 50s. So we're trying to work our way up to catching up to try and get to roads that are scoring in the 60s as far as resurfacing.
Since that driveway, can you put that site plan back up, because it shows where the driveway is? I noticed the driveway is as soon as you turn onto Boulevard and you pass the gas station, the driveway is right there at the property. So the road improvement or upgrade, would it go all the way down to Wilson, or it just would be up to the driveway?
I think we'd probably take it, typically you do the applicant's frontage, so I would think Wilson.
Up to Wilson. And how about, I heard someone say something about signage for no through trucks. If they're pulling in there, I mean, I couldn't imagine, I mean, why would there be truck traffic? I guess I'm trying to think out loud.
How can you restrict that? If this is the entrance, then how can you then, beyond that point, or even throughout Wilson, and thereof, restrict trucks?
I mean, you
As
have to
no-through
do
traffic.
the no-through traffic
Yeah.
type, no-through trucks. Basically, you want to try and limit them between their driveway and Highway 42.
Right.
Because, also in the staff report, I think we don't want to see a driveway on Wilson.
Right.
So basically the shortest route ends, come down 42, go down Boulevard to the site access.
Okay. Do you have additional questions?
Yes, this is just to the staff, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
On a C3, are they allowed to dump asphalt on that property?
Store asphalt, or?
Is that considered storage then? Can it be used to put rock in? I mean, that would be a landfill.
The question is whether or not they can store asphalt or construction materials on site.
As in concrete or?
As in concrete. I know there's a
You could use it as to like filters.
reference to the storage of outdoor equipment must be kept in a neat appearance, that kind of language.
No, they can't do that under C3.
And is the fence, and I apologize, I
No,
have one question.
you're more than
The
welcome.
fence, is it where, the type of fence, is it where the folks can't see what's parked there? Is it a chain link, or is it
It's a
enclosed?
solid, it would be a solid fencing,
fence.
opaque, not to
Okay,
you.
so you couldn't see what was in there?
That's correct.
Okay. I have no further questions.
No further questions? Does the board have any further questions for the applicant?
I apologize, Board. There was a email that we did receive from Robert and Belinda Schwartz. They are not in attendance tonight, so I submit this as a matter of record as well.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I have the applicant.
Who owns the 30-foot driveway easement there?
That's a great question. David helped me try to find a legal trail with that. I'll show you, I'll put up on the board what David talks about that.
But it's currently not being used to access a house anywhere, right?
No.
It's just there.
It appears to be just an access easement between Wilson and the parcel that contains the gas station. I mean, as far as the ownership of the property, it would go with the lot. The easement just gives whoever has the easement the right to use that. But I believe the gas station may even have something parked across that easement to keep people from coming through there.
So you could actually they could actually gain access to the service station from Wilson Road if they wanted to.
If the gas station moved whatever they've got blocking it, I suppose, yes. I don't really know what the intent was. I just know that the plat shows that there's a recorded easement there.
Any more questions? At this time, I'd like to have the applicant be seated. Did you want to add anything?
May I add two
Sure.
items? The owner, being a paving and concrete contractor, would be willing to work with Henry County to improve the road from 42 across and through the frontage of the site. And we have no problems researching the ownership of the easement, and if we need to get it vacated, that's not, and plant extra plantings, that's not a problem.
Thank you.
And we'd like to make that as a part of the land development permit as opposed to as part of the permit process and not a condition of the rezoning.
Make a condition.
Yeah. As far as it would most likely, and I'll get clarification, be required to be a part of the condition, because currently, as part of the land development code, we don't have provisions that will require an applicant to make improvements to that degree that I'm aware of.
It could be conditioned, the improvement to condition it to be improved upon application in conjunction with application of the land development permit. If we get it rezoned and he doesn't use it, is he still going to be obligated to improve the drive?
Yeah, I would certainly prefer it to go as part of the condition contingent on you pulling a land disturbance permit.
Right.
I think what Wanda is saying is there's no checks and balances in place if we don't place it as a condition of zoning.
Okay,
So
very
let's
good.
put it as a condition to state that. And I know your concern is in the event we have to come back, if something changes, you're going to have to come back and modify that condition. But I think we can word it as such that any improvements that are warranted by DOT will be handled at the development stage.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any more? Okay. Thank you. At this time, I'd like for staff to call the case, please.
RZ 1205, Donna Bryson of Lilburn, Georgia, requests a rezoning from RMH, mobile or manufactured home development, to C3, highway commercial, for property located at the southwest corner of Boulevard Drive and Wilson Road, Tract 2, Lot 3 of Pine Valley Estate Subdivision in Land Lot 33 of the 12th District. The property consists of 1.062 plus or minus acres, and the request is for outside storage of trucks, trailers, and equipment. It's in District 4.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion based upon all the evidence that was shown as far as the 7 conditions with the fencing and the trees. I would like to add 2 more conditions. One of those would be paving, upgrading the road up to on Boulevard up to Wilson Road, and then 9 signage of no through traffic for approval based upon the conditions that were listed for this property.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, but I need to know who's going to make the improvements on the road.
Do I need to state
I have
that
a
in the
discussion.
motion? Oh, excuse me. Do I need to make that?
Discussion. It needs to state that the way you read it makes us.
I believe as Sherry Matthews had mentioned, that a condition might state any improvements warranted by DOT would be addressed at the land development stage, was the wording that she provided.
I thought it had to be a condition.
That is
That's
a
a condition.
condition.
That is a
That is
condition.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I add that language then to my motion? Is the seconder, I guess he's okay with that.
I amend my second.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know there's a motion on the floor, but staff would recommend the condition regarding signage, that the applicant be required to coordinate with Henry County DOT regarding restriction and access along Wilson Drive and appropriate signage. I think David will have to go back and talk to his higher-ups just to make sure that's something that we can do, and I don't want to tie the applicant to that condition if that's not something that DOT will allow.
Do I need to remove my motion and restate it?
Amend it.
You amend
You can amend it.
Okay, I need to amend my motion.
Okay?
The first amendment, I would like to restrict this C3 to this storage, for storage only. Make sure that I said that correctly. Do I need to state the whole motion again? And then amend it to whatever you said?
Okay, I'm sorry, I may have missed something.
We're amending the motion.
Okay.
Do I need to state the motion again?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion for approval with the 7 conditions plus, I want to make sure I get this right, 2 more conditions, with also a limitation that this only be a C3 for storage. And the conditions would be,
Any improvement warranted by DOT would be addressed at the land development stage.
And
the signage would be
including signage.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? State for the record there's none opposed.
While Jeremy approaches the bench, I just want to make sure that the public understands that the Zoning Advisory Board is a recommending body and that this request will be scheduled for a final decision before the Board of Commissioners. So there will be another sign posted on the property, and each property owner will be notified of that new meeting date and time.
Thank you. Staff, we're ready for you to call case. Next case, please.
Comprehensive Plan Amendment 1204. Auto Mazing LLC of Stockbridge, Georgia requests an amendment to the comprehensive plan for properties located on the north side of North Henry Boulevard, west side of Stevens Avenue, and the east side of Neal Avenue in Land Lot 62 of the 12th District. The request is to amend the future land use map designation from medium-density residential to commercial. The property is located in District 4, and Jeremy Gilbert is representing planning staff.
Thank you.
Good evening again, Madam Chairman and board members. The applicant is requesting to amend the current future land use designation of medium-density residential to commercial for 4 parcels that total 1.44 plus or minus acres. Those parcels are located on the north side of North Henry Boulevard, the west side of Stevens Avenue, and the east side of Neal Avenue. Currently, there are 2 parcels that front North Henry Boulevard that is currently zoned C2 and has operated a commercial business since at least 1992, according to tax records. The remaining portion of the property is currently zoned R3 for single-family residential and is vacant and undeveloped land. The applicant is proposing to combine these 4 existing lots into one for the purpose of a car lot, and we do have an associated rezoning that we'll hear later. This request is to amend the future land use designation. The request is inconsistent with what the current proposal is, but the applicant's request is consistent with the comprehensive plan's designation and some of the policies for commercial land uses. While the request of commercial isn't illustrated currently, there are policies that are identified in our comp plan that do support the request. The first one being Land Use 22, use land effectively to avoid the costs and problems associated with urban sprawl. And Land Use 28 is to redevelop and enhance existing commercial and industrial areas within our community in preference of new development in greenfield or previously undeveloped areas. As I stated, this property has been developed. At least 2 parcels have. The applicant is combining those into one. Staff also believes that during the time that the evaluation was done for the original future land use map, that it may have potentially been an oversight to have left at a minimum the front 2 parcels out from a commercial designation. As you can note from the illustration here on your future land use map, that these are the only 2 parcels that front on North Henry Boulevard that are not designated for commercial but are currently zoned for commercial. Staff does recommend approval of the requested flume amendment for these 4 parcels from medium-density residential to commercial, and I'll answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Do I have any questions from the board for Jeremy? No questions?
I do. Did we hear from any residents or anything about this?
We've only had, staff has only received 1 phone call that I'm aware of for this request, and it was a phone call this morning, and the applicant just heard that the meeting was tonight. We told him what it was about, and he stated no objection or that he was not for it. He just wanted to know what the request was about. Other than that, we've not received any phone calls I'm aware of.
And Madam Chair, we do have 4 or 5 individuals who have signed up to speak in opposition to the request that we received tonight.
Thank you.
And just for clarification, so this is medium-density residential currently?
Well, on the future land use map, that is correct. The future land use map designates those 4 parcels for medium density.
But there was already a commercial property on there.
The front 2 parcels are currently zoned for C2, general commercial.
On the future?
Not on the future land use map. On the zoning map, 2 of them are zoned. On the future land use map, all 4 parcels are shown as illustrated on the overhead as all 4 being medium density residential.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Any other questions for staff from the board? At this time, I'd like to ask the applicant to come forward. Hello.
Good
Please state your
evening,
name and
Chairman,
address for the
Board,
record.
Planning. My name is Linda Lyle. I'm the owner and operator of Automazing, home of pre-loved cars. I currently live at 6425 Crest Manor Court, McDonough, Georgia.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything, any comments in addition to what the staff has reported?
Yes, if I could, please. Everyone from policymakers to educators to shopkeepers to beekeepers are looking for ways to make positive changes in today's economic growth. And that's my full intention to do this. My aspirations are, I've taken this location that is set abandoned for 2 years, and I've already made over $15,000 worth of improvements to the interior of the structure. I will continue to do so also to the exterior, providing paving, also, to beautify the outside. I will operate a fair and honest business from there to promote positive changes to the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
I do.
Okay.
So behind, not the part that's facing Henry Boulevard, but behind it, are those 2 wooded lots?
Yes, they're wooden lots.
Okay, they're wooded lots, okay. What are your plans for those lots?
I will not change those lots. We only need that because there's, what's it called, Jeremy, where they're 40 feet?
Yeah, there's currently the purpose behind combining these lots is to make the front 2 lots a conforming lot. The front lot that currently houses the commercial use doesn't have enough rear yard setback, nor does it meet the 40-foot rear yard setback. The building has been there prior to the adoption of the Unified Land Development Code, but any new development there would have to meet those requirements. So the applicant and the property owner have decided to combine these lots to allow that buffer to be met and allow that the property to be able to meet the setbacks. And we do have some conditions that we're recommending in the rezoning to maintain that undisturbed buffer that's on that existing wooded lot, and we'll address all of that during the rezoning.
Okay. And my next question is, how long have you owned the property?
I'm not the owner. I lease it. The owner is here, however.
Okay. So you're leasing the property from the owner?
Yes.
Okay, and you don't know how long the owner has owned the property?
Over 18 years.
Okay.
The owner is me, and I've owned it for 40 years. And all of the land was originally 40 years ago.
Excuse me, Mr. Baker. Thank you.
My name is Jim Baker. I purchased the property in 1972, 73. It was entirely used at the time, including the vacant lots behind there. I've probably cut those trees 3 times over the 40 years, so there has been completely a dirt field behind there. But in 1973, and there's only one guy that I know up there, I won't say any others that are as old as I am, but in 1973 we had a gas crisis, and that was the Buddy's Camper lot when I purchased it, and it was recreational vehicles. And believe it or not, people used to come off of I-75. You didn't have 138 the way it is today, but they came all the way there to get their recreational vehicles on I-75, which had just opened, serviced. And that whole area was used as a recreational sales lot. Buddy's Camper is what it was called. And Buddy went out of business there in the mid-'70s. We brought C&C Renall in there after that. Patrick Renall came in sometime thereafter. We've had various other businesses over the period of time, but there really has been a confusion because this was the city of Stockbridge, and at one time it was actually zoned commercial. Michael and I spoke about that. I sent him some evidence of that. It was rezoned back in the late 90s as well. But we're rezoning the land over and over and over again, which has been, I own all the land in the rear and all around it. So we're just trying to combine this. The trees certainly will meet the buffer requirements on the rear, but I wouldn't say that none of the trees would ever be cut, because obviously that's in perpetuality to time, and obviously what we want is become an asset that it's hopefully been and will be better over the years. But I have been the owner for 40 years.
Thank you.
My name will show up on the back of the survey and the front, so you'll see that I own all the property around it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have no more questions.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant?
Well, actually, I did have a question because I don't know Mr. Baker, so I did want him to state for the record his address.
My address is 3350 Riverwood Parkway, Suite 1800, and that's Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to allow 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of this case. If you'll please come forward and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Bergeron. My address is 360 Astor Ridge Trail, Peachtree City, Georgia, 30269. I have worked for Jim's Companies for the past 18 years, and I just want to clarify the part on the lots. These front two that show the structure have been ongoing commercial zone for the entire time I have worked for his companies, and these back 4 are the 4 that are currently residential. We are requesting that the 4 be combined to make one conforming commercial lot, because they're currently non-conforming because they don't meet the rear setbacks. So by virtue of not even having those back 2 lots included in the zoning, there's a chance that those 4 lots will be developed further, but we still own they still own, not me. They still own those back 2 lots that will provide ample buffer to the residential area. So we are certainly in favor of the tenants leasing the space. They've done fabulous improvements to it so far, and we're looking forward to them for a long tenancy. They're going to do a great job there. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Hello, my name is Belinda Berthoff, and I live at 815 South Mount Carmel Road, McDonough, Georgia. And I've been in Stockbridge since 1980 and moved to. So I just want to let you know, I know Linda, the one that's leasing it, and I've been there through the whole time seeing the changes, and she has done a fabulous job. And anything she does improves Henry County. And I just want to let y'all know that. And as far as the structure, like when I drive over there since 1980, that to me has always looked commercial. I mean, you know, there's car places that you can go get your car fixed right next door. So I think it would really improve. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, state for the record, none. At this time, we will entertain 10 minutes, allowing 10 minutes for those that want to speak in opposition of this case. Again, 10 minutes for opposition of this case, if you'll please come forward.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and the Board. My name is Cynthia Johnson. I reside at 50 Briarcliff Place, Stockbridge, Georgia, 30281. I have lived at that address for 13 years. My husband retired from the Marine Corps. We were stationed in California. When we moved to Georgia, we decided to retire in Georgia. We thought we were going to be moving to the sleepy South. You sit on your porch and wave to your neighbors. But ever since we moved here, we've seen more and more and more development. Now, Miss Linda, who's going to be running it, I have no opposition really to anybody being an entrepreneur or improving a community. But however, where her car lot is going to be, I have to drive past that. People don't even know that there's a neighborhood, a subdivision behind there. And I certainly do not want, and I know that you wouldn't want in Peachtree City where you live, and probably the high rises, Mr. Baker, where you live, you don't want people driving cars, test driving cars in your neighborhood. So I am in opposition in that matter. We already have tire stores. It's starting to look like Highway 85 in Riverdale. Now, if I wanted to live in Clayton County, I would have bought my home in Clayton County, having rim shops and all that, you know. But we chose Henry County because of, what Henry County stands for. And I'm not saying that it's going to depreciate, but it could depreciate. All of our homes have, lost value. But a car lot, I just can't go for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Anderson. I live at 55 Briarcliff Place in Stockbridge, Georgia, 30281.
Just for a second, can you put a map up there so we can see where these streets are? I'm not seeing this on our map where these, I mean, I know there's a residential behind there because I was there, but I don't know. So where's the property, and they live, what was your address again? I'm so sorry.
I'm on Briarcliff, and in order to get to my street, I have to drive down Neal and then do a little quick turn on Oakland and then go down Briarcliff. My comment about this is directly behind this property is a residential subdivision where there are children there. There is a bus stop within 500 feet of where this property is going to be. A school bus stop, I'm sorry, I meant to say. There are small children that play on that street. With this new car dealership, and I believe it's going to be a used car dealership, it brings in a different type of clientele. It also will increase, I believe it will increase crime in the area, along with the cars, the increase of the vehicle traffic going through there. It's the subdivision really only has one way in and one way out, and I can just see now so many cars trying to test drive those cars around that area. And with that being a used car lot, I can see crime increasing, because that would then make people, the undesirable people, want to look and see what's behind there, and then raise our property crime. I don't want my house broken into. I just moved there a year ago, and I moved there because it was a nice, quiet, safe neighborhood. There was no used car lot on the corner. I am so opposed to this. I mean, there's a used car lot a mile down the street. We don't need another one within another mile. This is too much. It's going to decrease my property value because of the increase in crime. It's also going to increase foot traffic, and I don't want any of that in my neighborhood. And no offense to you, ma'am, I don't know you, but you also don't live in that neighborhood, and you don't know how dark that corner is on North Henry and on Neal. And we've already seen vehicle accidents increase on that, and I don't want to see that happen either. I like my nice, quiet neighborhood. And we do have commercial property that's across the street from that, and it's a little, whatever, commercial where they have, like a hair place and a nail place or whatever, and that's fine, and we haven't seen any property crime increase from that, but I know, as you well know, with used car dealerships, there's always going to be an increase in property crime. There's always going to be an increase in crime with that. I stand and oppose to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? We have 4 minutes, 55 seconds in opposition. Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask the applicant to come back up, please. And does the board have any further questions for the applicant?
Yes. So you are planning to put a used car dealership?
Yes, that is correct.
And are you planning to use the property that's now kind of wooded that she showed us those for? You maybe clear that and build it up and maybe put cars back there? Is that?
No, that is not my intention at all. And if there's a couple other things may I add them now?
Sure.
I think so.
I mean, there's no proof that there would increase crime in any way. I've already paid with Georgia Power. I pay an extra $65 a month to have lights already placed on the lot before any cars are placed there. I'd like to make note that this property has been commercial since it has been built. Sitting right next to it, Jeremy, would you put that other big map up there? Sitting right next to it is a property that's also already zoned C3. The entire street up and down North Henry is all commercial. It will not increase traffic. We have to go with customers on test drives per our insurance. We would never take people on test drives in a residential community where children are located. I mean, have you ever test driven a car and gone in a subdivision? No. We would not do that. Nobody wants to drive a car slow anyway when they want to, take it out on the highway in front of the operation. But if you look, right here's where we're located. This is already zone C3 on the other corner, which it's an automobile repair shop. If you ride by there and you look at the condition of that place, and then I welcome any of you, and you ladies too, to please come up there, to come in the building, to look at the changes that I have already made. I would not run a community or anything else down. It's my full intention to make positive changes there. I've had several people from the neighborhood come up and tell me they are so glad the property is not sitting empty. A vacant property is much more likely to increase crime in a neighborhood. Even if it did bring crime to a car lot, that wouldn't make them come around to the neighborhood. They're not going to come up there and say, I'm going to break in these cars. Oh, no, after this, let's take a car and go back there and rob a house. It's not going to happen. I have a security system that is already being installed next Tuesday, which is a $4,000 security system. I have family members who are in the Henry County Police Department who will ensure that the location is watched as well as they do everything else in the county.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone else have any question for the applicant?
Ms. Law, are you going to have interest nexus on North Henry Boulevard only?
For right now, I intend to eventually, open further businesses within the county, within, the next 10 years. But for right now, this is the only location
But
that
no,
I'm
what I'm
looking at,
asking
if I
is-
understood your question.
You're not going to exit and enter this property on Neal Avenue.
Oh, no. I mean, already, if you sit at the property now, when we've been up there working on it, the entrance from Neal Avenue, we probably get in there without even any business being operated out of there at this time. There's probably at least 50 cars a day that come in there and turn around. Yes, there are two existing, entrances into there that have been existing since the location has been there.
On Henry Boulevard, but I don't know the two
On
streets.
Henry and on
Stevenson's Avenue.
yes, Stevens. Right there
No,
next to it. But nothing from Neal at all.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I just have two comments. I just want to remind the board that the item that you all are acting on now is the comp plan amendment.
Right.
I know we're having a lot of conversation about the rezoning. So I just want to make sure for the individuals that are reviewing it from home that they understand that this is for the comp plan amendment. Also, there were 3 other individuals who signed up in opposition, and I just want to make them aware that because they didn't come forward, I wanted them to know that this would be the opportunity for them to speak now, unless they want to actually have the opposition cards withdrawn. And it was Clarence Fulcher, Maddie Fulcher, and Cynthia Johnson. So if they still want to speak in opposition, I'm sorry, Sheila Jones. Is she here? Okay. So just for the record, those individuals did fill out a card, and I know I was asked earlier, so I don't want this to count if those individuals don't want to speak in opposition any longer. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to ask the applicant to be seated.
Thank you.
Thank you. And ask that the case be called.
Comprehensive Plan Amendment 1204, Automazing LLC of Stockbridge, Georgia, requests an amendment to the comprehensive plan for properties located on the north side of North Henry Boulevard, the west side of Stevens Avenue, and the east side of Neal Avenue in Land Lot 62 of the 12th District. The request is to amend the future land use designation from medium-density residential to commercial. Again, the property is located in District 4.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the applicant's request to amend the FLUM designation from medium-density residential to commercial.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? None opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'd like for staff to call the next case, please.
RZ 1206, Automazing LLC of Stockbridge, Georgia, requests a rezoning from R3 Single Family Residential and C2 General Commercial to C3 Highway Commercial for property located on the north side of North Henry Boulevard, the west side of Stevens Avenue, and the east side of Neal Avenue in Land Lot 62 of the 12th District. The property consists of 1.44 plus or minus acres, and the request is to utilize the property for a used car lot. The property is located in District 4, and Jeremy Gilbert is representing planning staff.
Good evening again, Madam Chair and board members. The applicant is requesting to rezone the 1.44 plus or minus acres that we discussed in the previous request from R3 and C2 to C3. According to the preliminary site plan that's dated August 8th, 2012, and prepared by Southside Surveying and Planning, the applicant is proposing to combine the 4 existing lots into one lot. The property will utilize a 2,180 square foot building as a used car lot. By combining these 4 lots, the applicant will be taking 2 lots that are currently non-conforming lots and allowing them to become conforming properties by meeting all development standards and buffer requirements. The future land use map designation of the subject property is medium density according to the future land use map adopted by the Board of Commissioners on April 20th, 2009. The proposed request is inconsistent with the FLUME designation. However, we just heard a comprehensive plan amendment to change that to commercial. The existing building located on the property of the front 2 parcels has currently been vacant for the last couple of years, and the property does have 2 entrances. There's an entrance off of North Henry Boulevard and an entrance off of Stevenson's Avenue. At this time, the applicant is not proposing any additional curb cuts. The two undeveloped parcels that are being added to the existing commercially zoned properties are heavily wooded and would provide a great undisturbed buffer between the commercial land uses and the existing and any future residential developments to the north of the subject property. Staff would recommend that the minimum be a 40-foot undisturbed buffer instead of just a 40-foot buffer, leaving the undisturbed for the first 40 feet. In reviewing this request, being that the front two lots have been zoned commercial and have operated, as you heard in the previous case by Mr. Baker, that the property has operated as C3 uses in the past. The official zoning map does currently show the property as C2, and therefore is leading to this request being made. Staff does recommend approval of this request with 6 conditions. I'd like to read those 6 conditions for you. The first one is all building, fire, and accessibility codes shall be met. All 4 parcels shall be combined into one parcel. All new buildings constructed on site shall meet the appearance requirements outlined in Section 4.0103 of the ULDC. Dumpsters shall be placed on a concrete plat and enclosed on 3 sides. The enclosures shall be constructed of brick, stone, stucco, or any combination thereof, and that is and provided it is consistent with the primary structure and is not to exceed 8 feet in height. A 40-foot undisturbed buffer shall remain to the north adjacent to the residentially zoned properties. And number 6, notwithstanding anything to the contrary, herein no zoning condition imposed herein shall be interpreted or implied in such a manner so as to require any violation of any existing building, development, stormwater, and or other applicable codes. And I'll answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Questions from the board for Jeremy? No questions for the board. I'd like to ask the applicant to come back up to the podium, please. Huh?
Good evening again.
Is there anything in addition to this particular request that you'd like to add?
No, I'd just like to say I will definitely comply with all of the
Okay.
zoning recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Okay. No questions from the board at this time. I'd like to ask you to be seated,
Thank you.
please. At this time, I'll allow 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of this case. If you'd please come forward. Okay.
Yes, my name is Jack Sandberg, and I live at 815 South Carmel Road, McDonough, Georgia. I have done the majority of the work that has been done in uplifting this place, and it has made a big difference in the community on that, and the outside will match as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of this case?
Can I say one more thing?
Mm-hmm. Just one.
Okay.
No, I'm just
Well, it's Belinda Berthoff again, and I work in a hairstyling salon in McDonough off of Jonesboro Road, and we have a lot of people that come in there, and there are some people that live right behind there, and they're very excited. They come by there, and they've looked inside the windows, and they even mention that, you know, an empty building brings crime. And I just wanted to let you know, again,
Thank you.
it looks great.
Thank you.
Y'all need to go by.
We still have some time left if anybody has speak in favor. All right, if not, then we will now ask for, allow 10 minutes for those that want to speak in opposition of this case. Yeah, we will reset the clock for 10 minutes. If you'd like to speak in opposition of this case, please come forward.
Okay, here I am again. Cynthia Johnson, 50 Briarcliff Place, Stockbridge, Georgia. As I stated before, I don't have any opposition or problem with the business going in there. The business that was in there prior, before it came vacant, was, you're the owner, correct? Was a appliance store, yes? Yes, it was a used appliance store. And let me tell you something, honey. There was appliances spilling out of the building. It looked like Sanford and Son in the yard. And I was so glad to see that gone. You're the owner. I was glad to see it gone. Okay, now he's the owner. But I was glad to see that gone. And I do, I must say, the building does look nice. Okay, and I don't have a problem with the building. But I have the problem with, I live in the community behind the building. And I wouldn't want, I'm sure you wouldn't want a used car lot before you go to your house. I'm sure you wouldn't want that. And I understand your friends, supporting you and that. But nobody wants a used car lot when you already have 1 mile up the road. Actually, you have 2. And now Julio's used car tire store that moved in, and then Jack's tire store that moved in, it's turning into Highway 85. That's my opposition. This, that's all.
Thank you.
I know. And I'm back as well. I'm sorry. Hi. My concern about the commercial is about the lighting on the street on the corner of Neal and North Henry. There are no street lights there. That is a very dark corner. And I'm really, really concerned with increase in traffic. And it's hard to see when traffic is coming. I don't even know my directions. I can't even tell you if it's going north, east, south, or west. But when I'm trying to make a right turn on North Henry from Neal, it's very hard to see. With there being a car dealership there, an increase of vehicle traffic coming in and out of there now, it's going to make a higher percentage or likelihood of there to be more accidents. And I'm not trying to dispute you at all. And I know you said that empty buildings bring crime. We have no crime in that area. So for that building to have been empty, there is no crime there. And you know, as the lady that spoke before me said, there's a used car dealership. Who wants to live behind a used car dealership? You know what, really? My property value is going to decrease. Regardless of what she says, my property value is going to decrease with that greatly. Because no one is going to want to buy my house behind a used car dealership. So please, please, if you're going to approve it, which it sounds like it's going to be approved anyway, at least can we get street lights on the corner to make it safer for us? Have some element of safety, some increased security. Can we have Henry County Police come and say that they'll start patrolling in a more frequent manner than what they do now? Because I know that's not your jurisdiction, but I really have this fear that crime is going to increase. And it is, because, the economy is really bad, and we know this. And we've seen crime increasing in places where there usually are no crimes. So, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition of this case? None. At this time, I'd like to have the applicant come back up, please, to the podium. Thank you. Does the board have any questions for the applicant?
I do. Let's talk about the lighting. Or maybe this is, I don't know. Has the staff said anything about, I know that sometimes when there's residential, that you guys require the lighting to
downcast?
Downcast, so that it's not shining toward the neighborhoods, but now there's a concern that it is pretty dark over there, so maybe that'll help eliminate part of the neighborhood a little bit. Not that I want the neighborhood eliminated, because there is going to be I'm assuming because those other 2 lots are not going to be used, there'll still be commercial. I thought that's what I was hearing.
Correct.
Oh, not residential. That are those? Is that going to be a requirement that lighting be downcast?
I actually have that in my comments here, that I didn't see a condition regarding downcast lighting. I think I heard you say that Georgia Power was going to come out and actually have some lights installed.
It is just the lighting was already there. We just had to pay to have it turned up. So I'm paying to light that, but it is downcast lighting onto the lot. There's also actually 4 lots that will remain untouched behind the building. Mr. Baker owns 2 that will remain residential, as well as the 2 that are going under the change in zoning now that we're not planning on currently making any changes to at all.
Why don't we just add an additional condition that any lights shall be downcast lighting in the event you grow and someone else moves in? I also want to get some clarification because I keep hearing that the 2 parcels to the rear won't be touched or won't be developed. I want to be clear in that if the property is rezoned, there are no restrictions that would limit anyone from developing that property unless I've misheard something. So I just needed some clarification on that. And if that is the intention of the board for those 2 rear properties not to be developed, then that needs to be a zoning condition because there's nothing that would preclude that. So if I could just get some clarification on that.
Can I speak to that as well? There's a couple of things that I hope that you'll take into consideration. First of all, with all due respect, I've been zoning property for 42 years, and I hear your grievances and your own. Your home is probably 2,000 feet from 542 Highway or more. I own the residential lots behind this. I'm willing to establish a 50-foot buffer on those. In other words, if we used 100% of the commercial property, which we're not doing at this time, you've got a 100-foot buffer behind there. If anybody is going to be concerned, and I've owned property there, as I say, for 40 years, I'm the one that's immediately adjoining it. All the way, pardon me, let me finish here. I know you said you come there 13 years ago, but this property along 42 Highway has not changed in 40 years. It's been commercial through 40 years all the way down the highway. We're not asking for a change. We're simply trying to ask for a conforming ability to allow this lady to go back in business. I personally, after hearing the appliance story, I would welcome this because if the appliances were all over the lot and it looked bad, this is an upgrade, and I believe that this lady is sincere. She's obviously spent a lot of money to be successful in business. So I just want to point out that, number one, these people that are talking about their residences, they're nowhere near as close as my property that is residential. That means that I couldn't sell if it was undevelopable. But these people are 2,000 feet away. I mean, they're not going to see lights one way or the other, whether they're down or if there's spotlights shining back. They will not shine 2,000 feet. But anyway, the point being is that we will. I'll be happy to work with the planning office to establish a buffer even on the residential lots to where it would be a no-build buffer.
Could we see that map? There was a speaker that came up that was in. Can I see that map again? I just need to know. We're not, because the 2 that are residential, because it looks like there's 6 lots there. So just the 2 front lots that face North Henry Boulevard and the 2 lots behind it are the only ones that we're trying to propose as C3. And then the 2 that are behind it, that stays residential. Is that a correct statement?
That is correct. I'm going to draw an X on what you're dealing with, and that is 100 to 110 feet from there to there.
But we're not voting on that.
That's correct. But I'm saying that that's there now, and I own it, and so it can't, it's in trees. Even if you developed 100% of the property, you're going to have and maintain a buffer. And this is 310 feet from 42 Highway, and that's what I'm saying. This young lady that spoke, she's thousands of feet back. There's no way possible.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Charity, is that what you were talking about?
At this time, Go ahead with your question.
My concern and what I'm needing additional information on, I understand the two parcels in the front that's fronting on 42, but the two properties to the rear that we're needing to add to bring these lots into conformity. Am I understanding that there is no intentions to ever develop those lots?
No, that would not be.
Then that's what I wanted clarification on.
That may be hers. I mean, she is the tenant, she is the lessee, she has no intention.
Okay,
But-
and that's what I wanted to be clear on, because I
Absolutely.
think what's being
You're exactly
presented,
clear.
and I just don't want the public to leave here thinking there will never be anything developed, because if she moves away, you may take that down and develop the entire site.
Completely correct, and as I say, at one point in time, the entire 300 feet were used as a commercial lot in the city of Stockbridge. And the trees grew up over 40 years. It happens, by the way.
Do we have any more other questions for the board for the applicant this time?
And I'm sorry, I do have one additional recommendation if the board does approve the request. On zoning condition number 2, it says all 4 parcels shall be combined into one parcel. If it is the pleasure of the board, I would recommend that you add a statement prior to the issuance of any permits and/or a business license.
And you can just say as amended, as Andre stated. You can just say as.
As staff amended.
Okay, the applicant, you can be seated. Thank you. If the staff will call the case, please.
RZ 1206, Automazing LLC of Stockbridge, Georgia, requests a rezoning from R3 Single Family Residential and C2 General Commercial to C3 Highway Commercial for property located on the north side of North Henry Boulevard, the west side of Stevens Avenue, and the east side of Neal Avenue in Land Lot 62 of the 12th District. The property consists of 1.44 plus or minus acres, and the request is for a used car lot. The property is located in District 4.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the rezoning from R3 and C2 to C3 with the conditions, 6 conditions, and number 2 as added by staff, if I'm allowed to say that, Sherry.
That is correct.
Okay, with one added condition that any and all lighting shall be downcast.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Do I have a discussion? Sorry.
Yes, Ms. McReynolds, did you want to add the language regarding the parcels being combined prior to the issuance of any permits? Because if not, what you have is all parcels shall be combined into one parcel, and that could be 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 2 years from now. So I think we need to specify.
I made the statement as staff amended.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I didn't know if you heard that or not, and that's why I
So
asked you.
sorry. Thank you.
So the motion carries. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn the chair position back over to Chairman
McReynolds.
McReynolds.
Okay, we can call the next case, please.
Comp Plan Amendment 1205, Trio Properties of Fayetteville, Georgia, requests an amendment to the comprehensive plan for properties located on the east side of Highway 155, south of Meredith Park Drive, in Land Lot 243 of the 2nd District. The request is to amend the future land use designation from industrial to commercial. The request is in District 2 and is presented by Sherry Hobson Matthews.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. As Jeremy has indicated, we have a comprehensive land use plan amendment before you tonight. Trio Properties, again, is the applicant on the property, and the request is to amend the future land use map designation for a 4.36 plus or minus acre tract of land. The future land use map currently designates the property for industrial and service type uses, and the applicant is seeking to actually downzone the land use or downgrade the actual land use designation to commercial. The applicant does have a rezoning request that is running concurrent with this request that you'll hear on the next item. Planning staff has reviewed the request and has found that the request is certainly it's certainly consistent with some of the policies that are outlined in our comprehensive plan. More particularly on page 2 of the staff report, land use number 12, which is to promote future industrial, warehouse, distribution, and office areas from encroachment by residential development. Land use policy number 19, new development will contribute to, not take away from, the community character. Land use number 32, support new land uses that contribute to protecting the environment and preserving meaningful open space. And then land use number 28, redevelop and enhance existing commercial and industrial areas within our community in reference to developments in greenfields, which are previously undeveloped areas of the community. The county's plan for commercial development in the area is delineated along this major arterial. There's a number of other commercially zoned and designated properties. Planning staff has recommended approval of the applicant's request to amend the future land use map from industrial to commercial. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, does any of the board members have any questions for staff?
Yes.
Ms. Schmelz?
Ms. Hobson Matthews, for the benefit of the public, will you please just give the definition for general commercial and highway commercial?
Absolutely. Our Code of Ordinances actually has 3 designations. We have a C1, which is our neighborhood commercial. We have a C2, which is our general commercial. And then we have C3, which is our highway commercial. The C3 designation is the highest and most intensified commercial type development. Under C3, you can have anything from a major automotive repair facility to other heavy equipment sales and things of that nature. Your C1, which is your neighborhood commercial, is more of your commercial strip centers that may have your cleaners, your nail salons, and then your C2 is somewhat in the middle of that. Not as high intensity, but certainly a use that is commercial in nature. The applicant, and I'll go into more detail on the rezoning, is looking for the C3 designation for a specific end user.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'd like to call the applicant forward, please. Please state your name and address for the record.
David Barber, representing Trio Properties, 180 Walter Way, Suite 114, Fayetteville, Georgia.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to add to the staff's comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for the applicant? Okay, you can be seated. At this time, we're going to allow 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of this case. Okay. I don't think anybody's coming up. How about those who want to speak in opposition? We'll give you 10 minutes also. Okay. I don't rush to the podium. Okay. I have to ask the applicant to please come back up. I'm going to give the board one more chance to ask you a question.
None.
Okay, you can be seated.
How are we going to?
We're missing a board member.
Yes, and we will certainly need him here in order for you all to have a quorum to take action on it. So hopefully he'll come back in just a second.
Maybe he thought we were going to have a 20-minute break with him.
All eyes on you.
Go ahead and call the case while he's being seated.
Something you just got to take care of.
Comp Plan Amendment 1205, Trio Properties of Fayetteville, Georgia requests an amendment to the comprehensive plan for properties located on the east side of Highway 155 south of Meredith Park Drive, in Land Lot 243 of the 2nd District. The request is to amend the future land use designation from industrial to commercial. The request is in District 2.
Okay, can I get a motion for this case?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve, as recommended by staff, the amendment to the future land use map for comp AM 1205.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? None opposed? Okay, carries. Next case, please.
RZ 1207, Trio Properties of Fayetteville, Georgia, request a rezoning from C2 General Commercial to C3 Highway Commercial for property located on the east side of Highway 155 South, south of Meredith Park Drive, in Land Lot 243 of the 2nd District. Property consists of 4.36 plus or minus acres, and the request is for future commercial development. Request is in District 2 and presented by Sherry Hobson Matthew.
Good evening again, Board. The request before you is actually the rezoning that we just heard for the Comprehensive Land Use Plan Amendment. The applicant, again, is requesting to rezone a 4.36 plus or minus acre tract of land from C2 to C3 for the use of the property as for major automotive repair. I want to make sure that I indicate and stress, I know a lot of the comments we've received tonight have been in relation to specific uses on the property, but the applicants are seeking to rezone the properties to C3 for all of the uses that are allowable under the C3 designation. And in this case, that would be any use that's allowable under C1, C2, and C3. So I just wanted to make sure for the viewing public that in the event the car lot doesn't work out for the previous case or the major automotive repair, there are other uses that would be allowable under the designation. The staff report reflects that, again, the future land use map previously designated the property for industrial, but based on your recommendation for the previous case, you all have supported amending the land use map to have a commercial designation. Again, the application is certainly consistent with the surrounding area. There is a lot of industrial land uses within the area, but more particularly, the property to the immediate north is also zoned commercial. The applicant's request would certainly promote nodal and cluster commercial development and discourage continuous and scattered commercial activity along major thoroughfares. Planning staff has recommended approval of the request, certainly contingent on the board approving the comprehensive land use plan amendment. Just wanted to go over two things that I discussed during the work session. As part of staff's recommendation, there were 9 conditions that were recommended. Staff is recommending that condition number 2 be deleted in its entirety, which read, all building exteriors shall be constructed of brick, stucco, stone, glass, or any combination thereof. The Unified Land Development Code addresses the commercial facing for buildings, so this will be handled during the development stage, and the applicant will be required to make sure that the building which faces the Highway 155 side has brick, stone, or stucco. And then on condition number 4, we talk about the dumpster, and we indicate that the materials that can be used for the enclosures shall consist of brick, stone, or stucco. Staff is just recommending that we add pre-treated wood as an allowable enclosure material. If you have any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Any board member have any questions for staff? I have a question. If I heard you correctly, you have C1, C2, C3. If it's moved up to C3, I heard you state that anything can go in there from C1, C2, and then C3.
That is correct.
So right now, since it's C2, a C1 and C2 can go in there. And I thought C1, a convenience store, could be a C1.
That is correct. You can do the convenience store, but it's my understanding that the applicant is looking to do major automotive repair in conjunction with a convenience store. And because it's major automotive repair, the code only allows that in C3. Now, if it were minor automotive repair, he could do that under C2.
Could you give me the difference between a major automotive repair and a minor automotive repair?
Let me grab my ordinance.
One takes engines out, one changes oil.
Okay, that would make sense.
Is that right?
Okay.
Major is any time you take an
engine out. I don't know anything about cars.
My mechanic.
Okay.
We have it cleared.
We have it cleared. One has to do with motor, and one has to do with leaving the motor in or something like that.
I educated her.
Well, maybe the public didn't know the difference.
No, it's a good question.
I mean, I didn't. I mean, heavy is
Glad
like,
I
I thought maybe it was weight or something. It said heavy, so.
An engine's heavy.
They have to tell me. I don't even change my own oil and tires, and I don't put gas in my car, so I don't know.
You don't put gas in your car.
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Man, I need a man like that.
I think that's all the questions that I had. The C3, I guess, you don't have that listing of what all can go in a C3 right there in front of you.
We do, but it's somewhat of a challenge because the way the Unified Land Development Code is shown, it's in the table format. So I would have to put every listing on the overhead to tell you, but that's something that we certainly can prepare for you all to have for future reference, so that you'll know what uses are allowable under C1, C2, and C3.
That would be great, because that way we won't have all those questions. Does the board have any other comments or questions to the staff? Okay, we need to bring the applicant up, and please state your name and address again for the...
David Barber, Trio Properties, 180 Walter Way, Suite 114, Fayetteville, Georgia.
Does the board have any questions for the applicant? I don't hear any questions. Did you want to make any comments?
Nope.
Okay, you may be seated.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to allow 10 minutes for those who want to speak in favor of this rezoning. Okay, don't see anybody rushing up to the podium, so I'm going to cut that off. And at this time, we're going to allow 10 minutes for those who want to speak in opposition of this rezoning. Hearing none, seeing none, I'm going to ask the applicant to please come back up. I'm going to give the board one last chance to ask any questions. He's kidding. You may be seated. I don't hear any. Can we please call the case?
RZ 1207, Trio Properties of Fayetteville, Georgia, request a rezoning from C2 General Commercial to C3 Highway Commercial. The property located on the east side of Highway 155 south of Meredith Park Drive, in land lot 243 of the 2nd District. The property consists of 4.36 plus or minus acres, and the request is for future commercial development. The request is in District 2.
I need a motion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval of this request with the conditions stated previously by staff.
Any discussion? Is that acceptable, Sherry? Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure that we have the motion correct.
I'm ready to vote.
All those in favor? All right, make it known that it's unanimous, none opposed. All righty, so this concludes our cases. Now, at this time, we do open it up for public comment. So if there is anyone here that would like to make any public comment, we'll give you 5 minutes. Any public comment? This is public comment period time. I don't see anybody else wishing to make any public comment, and we thank you for your attendance tonight, and this meeting is adjourned. Do I need a motion to adjourn?
Nope.
Need a motion to adjourn?
Nope.
Well, let's just have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Steve?
That's unanimous.